how do I handle screen time for my kids? All right, here's the way we do screen time in our house. Everybody does this differently. This is how we do it in our house. And I will say this is based on walking alongside countless people. This is based on an intensive reading of the literature. It's based on conversations with people on the inside of the tech industry. This is also based on my individual children. Okay? That's the 4 ways we make decisions. My wife and I. So, how do I handle screens for my kids? Number 1, none of my kids. I got 1 kid in middle school. I got 1 kid in elementary school. No phones, no iPads. We do have 2 decommissioned phones that just have the internet for library books on the digital books that we get from our public library. And if you didn't know you could do that, there's several apps. So you can just go to your public library, get books on, I call them books on tape because I was born in the 14th century, but you can get audiobooks and they're free and you just get them from your local library. It's incredible. It's great. And my kids are reading, if you will, listening to book after book after book after book. And it's phenomenal. I love it. The phones are decommissioned. The internet's been removed from them, and we are hyper about they don't have the codes to the phones. And so if they get locked out, they've got to come to us to get back in. It's annoying for us, quite frankly. I'll be out working in the yard. I'll be out working on something, and my kids are working on a project, and all of a sudden they get locked out of the phone, and the book they're listening to stops. They got to come get us, and I got to punch in the code. It's worth it. It's worth it. The next thing is, let's see what I wrote here. Codes on everything. So we got whatever, apps we have to watch things. Sometimes it's Netflix, sometimes it's Hulu, whatever it happens to be. We got codes on those things. And here's how we do screens. Maybe they'll watch an episode or 2 once a week during the week. During the school year, never. I mean, we're pretty pathological about that because sleep is the most important thing. It's the summertime right now, so we'll say, hey, we can go watch a couple episodes of you pick one and you pick one, and they go watch them together. And they're like, I don't know, Jurassic cartoon Legos. I don't know what they're doing, but they're cartoons of some sort. Friday night we have movie and pizza night, and so. Really, it's a family thing. Every Friday we get together and watch a movie. And usually it's something always it's something we can all watch, except occasionally I'll watch, my son gets tired of watching cartoons, and so we'll watch some movie together. And then my wife and my daughter will watch them together. But really, the big thing is our house doesn't revolve around screens. And I got my son a bow and arrow, and we have colors everywhere. We've got instruments everywhere, and we've got places for them to go run and play. We've got dogs, we've got chickens. Our kids can never say we don't have anything to do or we're bored. And we've tried to curate a world where their imagination can travel with them wherever they'd like it to go. And we're like, on a safety level, my son will take the dogs and go play in the creek. And it's a ways from our house. I prefer that on a safety measure than handing him an iPad and then leaving the house and him being able to travel down the rabbit hole of the internet with his 12-year-old brain. So that's how we do screens in our house. Ultimately, it was less about the restriction on the screens and more about creating a world. I think I've talked about it here. It's cost my son some things, especially in middle school. That's how kids communicate. They text with one another. And there's a lot of isolation there. And there's been some hard conversations. And he's been right on a few things. My wife and I saved up our money and bought some like a foosball table and an air hockey table, a cheap air hockey table, to give the kids something else to do. Because I had said, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do, man? And that was a great critique of me and my parenting. So we've had to shift things the other way. If I look at the cost of an Xbox, I was able to do the other things for about that price. And so it was just a matter of shifting resources one way or another. So that's how we do screens in our house. And everybody does them differently. And I'm not here to judge you. I will judge you on this way. If a screen has become a digital babysitter in your house, it's a way for you to offload parenting responsibility for an hour or 2 hours to give a child unfettered access to the internet. It's incredibly unsafe in so many different ways. And I would challenge you to reimagine how your house works. I also know there's people working 4 jobs and they're exhausted and they're scared and they're dealing with their own trauma. And there's a space that I need to have right now. And I get that. And I honor that. make that a short-term solution, not a long-term solution. Make that I'm going to let this ride for the next 6 months or 9 months while I am working really hard to get me and my family from here to here so that we can create a world we can engage one another. It's not something to carry shame about. It's something to be intentional about. So hopefully that helps.